Welcome Minister McHugh to the House. I'm sorry Mr Kelly isn't here, but I am conscious also, of course, that Minister Kelly is meeting colleagues from Sligo County Council and the CEO as we speak. Nevertheless, I want to make it clear that I think it's vitally important that central government do not take an attitude to smaller counties throughout the country without a robust funding mechanism, such as the larger ones who have a surplus, and effectively mistreat them as a result. It seems that since November last year, central government, through the Department of the Environment, have been prescribing cuts to the people of Sligo, with regard to, in particular to a cut in library services, with regard to a cut in tax office services, and also they have prescribed 50 additional layoffs. I think this is unacceptable. I think over 180 people have lost their jobs at Sligo County Council over the course of the last 3 years, and I think to treat them in this way is to do little more than to do to the people of Sligo what many of us believe Brussels and Frankfurt have done to the people of Ireland. I think you cannot treat Sligo and small local authorities like independent republics somewhere out in the Atlantic, dependent on the goodwill and charity of other countries. The reality is the citizens of North County Sligo, or South County Sligo, or West County Sligo, or Sligo Town are just as equal Irish citizens as those people in Fingal County Council's area, who happen to have the good luck to have Dublin Airport contributing to their commercial rates base. That local authority has €100 million on deposit, while at the same time the lack of a robust funding mechanism for councils such as Sligo has led to a debt situation which I'd like to very quickly break down for you. It's often said in the media, it's in the region of €100 million. Let it be said that that 100 million is made up of some 30 million through land acquisitions, and that land still exists. From the department at the time insisting that the National Spatial Strategy be developed, which all parties bought into, which public consultation throughout the country was participated in, and which was overseen by the best of spatial planners the department could procure from Denmark, which told Sligo to prepare for a population of 100,000 people by 2020. Now, however ridiculous or misguided that policy turned out to be, the reality is the department was telling Sligo County Council, think bigger, be more ambitious, prepare public-private partnerships, do not be subservient to the developers of the future in the context of having enough land for social housing, for community facilities and so on. So they did that. That's 30 million of it. Another 30 million is to do with mortgages that are lent out to people. And that normally, just if you have your county council mortgage, you have the collateral that goes with that in terms of property. A further 15 million, bringing it to 75, is the contribution locally in terms of borrowing that went to the 120 million spent in upgrading the water facilities and wastewater treatment plant in Sligo. And the remaining 25 million, bringing it to 100, is pretty much the running current deficit, in servicing those debts on one hand, and in covering the costs of running that water infrastructure, which went from 5 million to 10 million per annum between 2008 to 2013. In that period, Minister, your own department's support for Sligo County Council, as I said, as a small council dependent on local central government support, that level of funding dropped from 18 million to 9 million. So it was halved. So you have a scenario here where we are being pushed out into the Atlantic, we are being told you can sing for the money because we are going to treat ye in isolation and blame ye for effectively carrying out central government, central department policy. Yes, there were issues which have been faced up to by the new executive and the new elected council in terms of the collecting of outstanding rates, arrears and so on, and that's been improved. But the reality is this. Local authorities such as Sligo, who don't have Dublin airports and hundreds of millions of deposit, cannot be discriminated against for not having those resources. Central government must come up with them. And in the context of that at the moment, we expect, frankly, that central government will provide additional resources for Sligo because the people of Sligo deserve no less. They are entitled to their libraries, to their tax office, to their community services, as anybody in Dublin South or in Fingal who have the larger rate spaces. And I appeal to you, Minister, and indeed your local your colleagues in the Oireachtas from the area. You have 3 senators from government parties and 2 TDs. They will be held exclusively responsible for failure in this regard, as you and Minister Kelly will by me and my colleagues, if this is not done. Thank you.
Bhailam Mabuya Racha and Shanador for Hanya and Cash Tawak the new August Bhailam and Cash Jafrager Son and Ara O'Kelly. As you're aware, local authorities have three main sources of funding: grants from central government, commercial rates and other locally raised charges. In recognition of the fact that certain local authorities have less opportunity to raise income locally, central government has provided much higher levels of funding to support the efforts of these authorities to provide an adequate level of public services. In 2014, approximately 54% of Sligo's budgeted income was expected to be provided by central government, almost double the national average of 28%. This clearly shows that the government is committed to supporting the smaller authorities, a fact further underpinned by the government's decision to redistribute 20% of local property tax allocated nationally from 2015 to support authorities who have lower valued property bases. The issue of cash flow in local authorities is important, and certain local authorities with very large annual expenditure, generally as a result of population levels, can hold seemingly large levels of cash at particular times. All local authorities are required to ensure that they can meet the public sector payment deadline by paying agreed invoices within 15 days. For a local authority with €98 million in creditors at the end of 2013, such as Fingal County Council, having cash on hand is, in fact, both prudent and appropriate financial practice. As the Senator will be aware, Sligo County Council has been incurring revenue deficits for the last number of years to the effect that the cumulative deficit now stands at over €24 million. Long-term debt is in excess of €120 million. When this matter was raised in this House last November, Senator MacSharry suggested the Sligo County Council is in this situation in part because they have implemented government policy, particularly in respect of water services and land purchases. The Minister wishes to be clear that the obligations placed on Sligo County Council in terms of implementing government policy were no more onerous than in any other local authority in this respect. As the Senator knows, the implementation of the social housing strategy is a key priority for government and will provide an opportunity for all authorities to develop lands that they purchase for housing, thus providing additional housing and alleviating associated debt. In respect of water services, the Department's analysis shows that combined water and wastewater charges in Sligo increased by just 17% in the period 2008 to 2012, despite an increase in operating costs of 39%, suggesting that the water pricing methodology used was insufficient. The level of income collection in the water charges area was also unacceptably low at only 48% on average from 2008 to 2013. Both of these exacerbated Sligo County Council's financial and cash flow situation. Other factors such as poor income collection and an inadequate bad debt provision policy have significantly contributed to the financial situation. The commercial rates collection level was just 59% in 2013. Collection levels for housing loans are also poor at 47%. It is a matter for individual local authorities, including Sligo County Council, to manage their own day-to-day finances in a prudent and sustainable manner. The Department has not been prescriptive in respect of the steps that Sligo County Council should take, but is in regular consultation with the Council in relation to its financial position. The Minister set aside an allocation of €1 million in additional funding to 2014 and for 2015 for Sligo County Council to assist it to take the steps necessary to move to a more sustainable financial position. The payment of this remains fully conditional on a realistic and achievable financial plan which charts a path to long-term financial sustainability being agreed between the Department and the Council. This process is ongoing. For the Senators in this House, for their information, the Minister, following a request from the Council, is today meeting a delegation of elected members and senior officials in relation to the Council's historic and current financial position.
Brief question, Senator.
Yes, thanks very much. Can I ask, Minister, why you're being sent in here to deliver such bad news? This is clearly an abdication of the responsibility of the people. Are the people of Fingal any more entitled to a library than the people of Ballymore? That is the question. I mean, no more onerous than on any other local authority. You know, they have the airport in theirs, but the people of Sligo or your own county in Donegal will have to sing for it. I mean, the attack on the people of Sligo has been relentless. It will come to bear specifically on your parties in government, and it is wrong. It is apartheid by any definition to say to the people of Sligo, you are less entitled to a library or critical local services than the people of Fingal, and in some way then to try and dress it up as independent recklessness. I have explained to you that the collection methodologies for commercial rates and whatever have been approved by the new executive and council, and that is improving. But to in some ways say that there were in no part central government and the departmental policy in driving an agenda which forced the council to buy additional lands and other areas is fundamentally wrong. It is an abdication. Of government responsibility. And I suppose, can I conclude by saying, is it any wonder the Germans walk all over us when we're prepared to do this to our own people of this country?
Thanks, Chairman. In relation to your first introduction, Senator, you were on about responsibility, and I think having a meeting as we're communicating ourselves at a
He's going to say in the meeting, but you were sent down to read out, obviously.
The Minister without meeting, I was actually speaking to Deputy Tony McLaughlin downstairs, and Senator...
Well, of course, I wasn't invited, right? It's only government or office members that get brought along, obviously.
The Minister without instruction.
Well, what I would like to convey here is that there's probably two routes to getting things done, I suppose. One is to let things continue. As you know, there has been massive changes at a local authority level. There's less staff, as you pointed out. They didn't lose their jobs. Nobody lost their jobs in the public service. They would have taken, there would have been different packages offered. And it's important to say that with a complete culture and sea change in the way of doing business, we have to look about doing things differently. And that's why the Minister is taking this issue very, very seriously. The government's taking it very, very seriously. And the deputies and senators in your constituency at this very minute are looking at potential solutions. Now, if it's a case you haven't been invited to that meeting, obviously I'll convey that message, and no doubt there will be an opportunity for you to raise that at a public level. But I think it's important to go out from this that there is a problem here. And we can be proactive about this, and the proactive way about doing this is sitting down with the Minister, sitting down with the officials from Sligo County Council, and look at ways of trying to move the thing forward in a constructive and positive way.